head of Saltar Solutions, and I am here today on Focus Forward with an absolutely phenomenal guest. I'm so excited to have her on the show. But first, I'd like to talk a little bit about Wisdom of the Guardian. This book was written by Dr. Joy Pedersen, and I will tell you, I'm reading this book and I'm loving it. This is great. This is actually it was channeled by Archangel Michael right to Joy, and she wrote this, like a chapter a day, I think it was. And this is just an amazing book. It's really interesting how I'm going to so many different courses, and I'm going to seminars, and I'm going to workshops, and I'm going to all these different things, and the information that I'm getting from the different places all supports exactly what Joy has in this book. So I'm really excited about this book, and I think if you pick this book up, you'll be excited about it too. So this is no fluke that our guest today is Dr. Joy Pedersen. She is founder and CEO of Express Success, and I am thrilled to have her today. Joy, how are you? Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Okay, this is great. This is great. Tell us about the book.
Well, Archangel Michael came to me, I don't know how many years ago at this point, but he asked me to write this book. I was already able to channel and do automatic writing, the opportunity to just receive information and write it down or type it in this case. And I asked him how many chapters. He said 22, and I said, okay, I'll do it. And then the first day I was inspired, I wrote the introduction, and all subsequent days I was inspired, I wrote a chapter a day, and it was the easiest thing I did. The funny thing about it was I didn't want to tell anybody about it because I didn't want to tell everybody that I could channel angels and I could communicate to the other side because I worked in the business community. So it took me a little longer to get it published than I would have liked, but I knew he didn't just give it to me. So I had to actually get out of my own way to be able to deliver it to the world.
Well, isn't it amazing how we have to get out of our own way to get things done? I mean, I don't,
Absolutely.
That's amazing. So this book is just, it's phenomenal. It's so easy to read. You know, anybody who reads this, I'm sure, can see the value, not only the value of the message, but they can see exactly what you're saying starting to happen. Do you get people that say that they can, even people that may be skeptical when they first hear about it, if they pick it up and they give it a chance, it's a brilliant book.
Thank you. As a matter of fact, I have people that have told me that they feel Michael's presence when they read it, and I asked Michael if that was true, and he said yes, he's with everyone that's reading the book. But a lot of people have actually said they've carried it around in their bag, they refer to it on a daily basis, and they really have gotten a lot of benefit from it. I find his writing to be very succinct and clear, and he always has been because he's been giving me messages for years. As a matter of fact, I also have been sharing his previous message and continue to share other messages on a blog, angelenlightenment.com, and there anyone can read the messages that I've received from him, God, and others.
Well, one of the things that I found when I was reading this book, it almost feels like this book is helping you to be a better person, to really understand, to accept yourself more. That was another thing that I really liked about it, that I felt a tremendous acceptance when I was reading this book. And the other thing is, it was very hopeful. You know, we look at things in our daily life, and sometimes we say, oh, this happened and this is terrible, or that happened, or whatever. But in reading this book, it glossed over, it helped you to gloss over those things and really focus on the things that are important. So that's one of the things that I like so much about this book, is that reading this, I felt a sense of courage, a sense of strength, a sense of well-being. Like everything was okay. And that, and then the other thing is, it really made me feel like I was accepting myself and those other people in my life better. I mean, what book can do that for you, right?
That's great. I'm so glad you're enjoying it.
I am. I'm more than halfway through it because I picked it up and I couldn't stop. I couldn't stop. And the book started hitting me in the face last night as I was reading it, and I'm just like, I just kept wanting to read it. So because it also gave me a sense of peace. Now, are other people saying this?
Oh, some people have said they've had profound change after reading the book. One of the nice things is at the end of the book, Michael actually shares some tools that people can use to help their lives, specific prayers and ways to clear up some of the challenges they have. And they have used those on a daily basis as well.
Well, I can't wait to get to that part because I'm still trying to incorporate daily meditation. Now, I get probably 3-4 days a week, I get that meditation in, but I really want to get into that meditation on a regular basis every single morning and incorporate it more into my life. I'm using visualization. I know that you use these things as well. So that is also helping me to kind of move forward. That's something that I'm recommending for clients. What about you? Tell us what you do for clients.
Well, what I do with clients is I help them release the blocks that they have to the life that they desire. One of the things that occurred to me years ago when I was working in the entertainment industry was I got a job very easily, and I couldn't figure out why, because I didn't necessarily have the contacts or the background that you would think was appropriate. So I wanted to study the success after all the different people that were calling me to network with me to figure out how they could get a job at Paramount like I had. So what I discovered was things like the law of attraction. What you think comes about. Put out positive thoughts, you get positive results. Intentionally thinking about what you want to create and then manifest that. And I was actually pretty successful at it, except for when it came to money. So I realized there had to be blocks within me because the techniques I was using were pretty consistent with consistent results. So I went out on a search for a solution to how to remove those blocks, and I was introduced to a spiritual process that actually removes those blocks, clears your path, and changes your future. So I started applying that for myself with success, and now I offer it to my clients where they call me up, they share with me what's going on for them. I open a channel to divinity. With my intuitive skills, I'm able to communicate with their subconscious, find out what's blocking them, what their limited beliefs and thoughts are. I can also see their past lives and their ancestral past lives, and I'm able to clear their karma. So once karma is cause and effect, so I clear the cause and the effect, and their life changes. And everyone else that's involved in whatever scenario was involved in their original memory, they all have a healing as well.
That is amazing. That is absolutely amazing. So how long does something like that take?
Well, I'll give you an example. I was working with a client right before this, and she is a client, a CPA who's been with me for about a year or so. We work on a weekly basis. And we were commenting that some weeks we work together, we're clearing meetings, we're clearing clients, we're clearing certain issues, and then there's other weeks in particular that there's a bigger issue that comes up, and today was one of them. Today I was working with the family tree, and when you clear your family tree, you can eliminate most of your karma. And in this case, I was clearing different scenarios that occurred with different members of her family tree, and I came upon a situation where there was gold that was taken from battle. And I had to clear the karma of the gold, all the attachments to the gold, all the deaths that had occurred in connection with the battles. Apparently there are also other scenarios that needed to be cleared that caused the previous owners to actually be in ownership of the gold as well. We also had to clear with the golden calf because anybody that was living at that time who ended up drinking of the golden calf has financial karma that has affected their descendants, but I've also seen that filament go permeate around the world, and it affects other people as well. So some of that energy was also part of this gold. So I had to clear all of that, and it was set free, and so was she and all the ancestors that had anything to do with that.
That is fascinating. That is so fascinating. So, wow, that is, I can't even come up with words for that, because that is so interesting. I recently had a reading where the person took me into past lives, and as we went through the past lives, it was amazing how the same things kept coming up over and over. And it's very easy to see why we're having maybe challenges or difficulties in this present life as well, because we're carrying like that blueprint or that imprint with us. So clearing that sounds like that would be just a phenomenal thing to do.
It's the most dramatic thing I can ever imagine. It's profound. I'll give you an example. I had another client who had challenges with judging her husband, and she noticed she judged her previous boyfriends. So I looked at her past, and her ancestry had a lot of abuse and torture and different lifetimes where I cleared that were relating to rules. It could be rules by a parent, a school system, a monarchy, a government, whatever rules existed. If somebody didn't adhere to those rules, someone was punished. That passed down throughout all the descendants and affected her. So when I was trying to explain that when we clear this stuff, all those involved have a healing, including the people who maybe have tortured the person, judged the person, set the rules, including the person that was the victim. And when I was explaining to her how profound this was, I felt there was something I was missing. So when I got off the phone with her, I asked Divinity, I said, what was it that something doesn't seem right with that explanation? He said I was right, except for the fact that some of the people that were involved, some of the ancestors, are reincarnated and living on the planet now, and they too have a healing. So the way they would be able to live and go forward and relate to others would improve also.
Wow. So it really does permeate society. Once you start working with someone, other people can feel this energy as well.
Yes.
That's amazing. So now let's talk a little bit about your background, your past. Tell us about what you did in television.
I was working at Paramount doing PR for Happy Days, Taxi, Laverne and Shirley, Mork and Mindy. I helped launch Cheers, which I'm very proud of. It was one of my favorite shows, although I enjoyed all the shows I worked on. And it was quite a wonderful career. I really enjoyed it. And then I left there and went on to PM Magazine, where I became the Los Angeles bureau chief of PM Magazine. But while there, I was really responsible for the celebrity stories that were on all the reels that went nationwide.
Wow, that's some kind of job. So
yeah.
I just want to tell a little bit of a personal story about us. I kind of contacted you. I'm not exactly sure, but we came in touch with each other. You sent me the book. I receive a lot of books. I receive probably 2-3 books a week from people that want to be on this show. I tend to read the books and learn a lot from them so I can talk to the guests. You are so different than everyone else that I've ever received a book from. And you want to know why? I received the book, okay, which was great. The book is autographed to me, okay, very nice touch. But in the book, I received, okay, watch this. I received a lovely card that has information on the back about the book launch, okay, which is very nice. I could actually send this out to somebody if I wanted somebody. I got information about the cruise, okay, that I could go on. Fabulous. I got a beautiful card with the book on it, okay, that I could send out to somebody. I got the bookmark with the information. Okay, everybody's paying attention to this, I hope. I got this beautiful card here that I could carry, that I could hand out to somebody that I'd want to recommend the book to. But the thing that was the most surprising and shocked me the most was I got the business card, okay, the business card, with none other than the QR code. Now, I've got to tell you, you've got it dialed. I want everybody out there that's an author to really consider, maybe not every piece here, but at least consider 3 of the, 7, okay? This is the way it's done. This is the way people market their book. She has given me, Joy has given me, at least 7 opportunities to help her. And I will help her. Not only that, I have this fabulous book, okay, that after I read this, I can pass this book on, I can loan this book out, and everybody who opens it sees my name that this was autographed to me. I mean, come on, Joy, tell us, how did you learn this?
Oh, I don't know. It's, I think when I started to do all the looking into the book publishing and marketing part, I learned some things that way. I think some of it was a natural thing to do. I mean, signing the book to you was from my heart. It just seemed practical.
Okay, and what's behind you?
Oh, the poster of the book?
You're a master. I am so impressed with you. I've got to find out how did you, not only how did you learn this, must have been through years, must have been working at the studios, maybe you always knew, maybe you were a natural shoo-in for your job, but you know, how long does it take to do this?
The funny thing was, it was easier to get the book published than get the marketing materials for the book done. I don't know.
I love it.
But you know, originally, I'll be honest with you, when I started the blog, I was sharing Michael's messages and others on the blog, but originally it was to build an audience before the book even came out, because I knew it would take a while to get the book out, but at least I would start whetting people's appetite about his messages, and I built up a nice list of people who love hearing his messages.
That is phenomenal. You can't imagine how many times a day I am saying that. You build your audience and then you introduce the book out. A lot of people, they think they're going to go and they're just going to write the book and people are going to flock out of the woodwork to get the book, rushing at them. It doesn't happen like that. One of the things that I think is really important here is you're using this to help us help you. But it's a subtle message. And that's what I liked about it. It wasn't a letter that says, please hand this out to everybody you know that buys books. But it's a nice, subtle message. And the reason why I have them all here is because I wanted to make this point on the show. As soon as I finish this, then they will go out, and I will make sure that everyone knows about this book. But the point is, you've given me an opportunity to help you. What other things are you doing? I know you're doing the show, you're doing the blog. What else are you doing?
Well, I do a lot of networking and social media. I'm still building up the social media aspect because, to be honest with you, it's a lot of work. I mean, I have help now, and it's still a lot of work. But the networking I've done for years. That's how I got my job at Paramount, was through networking, and I've networked for everything. I used to teach networking, so I'm a big believer in the benefits of networking. So
the networking is a lot of work also. So I'm just gonna throw this out there, and if you've never had this happen to you, it's okay. But how many people come up to you and they say they want to tap your network? Has that ever happened?
Well, I'm the one that everybody calls first when they need something, because they know I know so many people. Because
I think a lot of people that I've met, they don't necessarily want to do the work that it takes to build this big network, but they absolutely want to tap into it. So that's one of the things that I've noticed about networking. And my whole concept with networking is when you're out there and you're networking, you're really bringing your, the best of your market and the best of your network there. So, so what are your tips for networking?
Well, I have two, I think. One is that I am finding out that people are connecting more from a heart level now than just an intellectual level. And they can go into a room and intuitively be able to connect with all the perfect and right people for their highest and best good. So you don't have to work a room anymore like most people have been trained all these years. So that's helpful. The other thing I tell people is that when you're networking, the standard practice is figure out what it is that you need, figure out who in your address book could be the best person to help you, and start there. Well, what I tell people now is, yes, that's a good idea, but don't forget the greatest networker of all is divinity. You're always looking for the best networker is the person that knows the most and knows most of the people. They're people of influence. Well, how can you get anyone better who knows everyone and everything and tap in there first and have that as your lead source? And have divinity introduce you to all the perfect and right people for your highest and best good in the most efficient manner possible. So if you go to a networking event, it's because you're being guided to go to that event because we already know in advance that there's someone there that we need to meet. And allow the orchestration to take place when you get there.
Well, I will tell you that when we started our conversation initially and we started talking, I was amazed. Remember, we couldn't stop talking to each other. So we both felt that connection so strong and so powerful that right away, I mean, we started sharing ideas and talking about money. It was just one thing after the other. So I understand because it's interesting that the people that had contacted me from that one ad, many of the people had these maybe higher level or other world connection. I was very surprised because that didn't seem like that's what the ad would have pulled in. So I found that to be very strange. But there are people that I met through this that I think are, we've traveled in the same circles, but we've never met, which is very interesting. So how does one, when you talk about opening up to the divinity, how does one open up to that divinity? How does that happen?
Well, first of all, divinity you access really through your heart. So go into your heart center. It's not through the head. It's not that he's out there somewhere or, you go into your heart because you're all one at that level. The other thing is you mentioned meditation earlier, and when I started meditating, I found it a great way to center and balance myself. And then when I learned the skill of automatic writing, I incorporated it after meditating. So I was able to get messages directly from divinity about my day. I'd ask questions, should I go here? Should I go there? Should I get involved in this business opportunity with this person? And I'd just ask. And I'd get that through meditation.
That's phenomenal. That is absolutely phenomenal. It's really interesting because I come up with some of the best ideas, either like directly following that meditation or even if it's like half an hour, 45 minutes after. It's just like it just goes into my mind and it's like so clear. It's so clear. And then I'm saying to myself, how did I miss that? How did I miss that? Because it's just amazing. But anyway, we have to wrap the show up. I feel really badly about it because I really want you to come on again. Please promise me that you're going to come on and talk to me again. And let's do some talking offline because I really think it's fabulous. And right now, I'm giving everybody this opportunity. Get a good look at this book, run out and get it. Can we get it online or do we have to go to the bookstore or what?
You can get it at either.
Either. Make sure you get this. Make sure you read this book. This is a phenomenal book. Everybody needs to read it. So thank you so much for being on the show, Joy. This has been wonderful for me. I hope you've enjoyed it as well.
I have. Thank you so much.
Thank you. You take care.
You too.
Thanks. So I'm Lauri Flaquer of Saltar Solutions, and I am thanking you today for tuning in to Focus Forward. I hope that you've enjoyed listening and watching the show and our guests as much as I have. Thanks a lot.